मामि पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च भजतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनुवे सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहैः तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विश्विदावहैः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। माण्डुक्य उपनिषदः शान्तिपाठः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति न क्षार्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Welcome friends once again to our wonderful session of Mandukya Upanishad. We are of course at a turning point. The turning point which is going to take to the greatest philosophical insights that is available in any other scriptures in the Sanatana Dharma itself. While every Upanishad expounds the various types of the upasanas, various types of ways and means to understand the Brahman or the primordial power, as well as to how to do our follow our own life in this world. Mandukya Upanishad is special, as we have said, Rama himself has told Hanuman, if you want to know anything, Mandukya eva evalam mumuksham vinachyate. If you know Mandukya Upanishad alone is good enough for you to get the redemption. He has told Hanuman, not to anyone else. Greatest being, anywhere in the world, we could see as described. Having done that, because that is why, we have come to this Upanishad just for the purpose of recap, and Mr. Narayanan has joined just about now. And for us also, for the benefit of our own recollection, we will just give a group just to know that, because we just talked about the importance of Om in this particular, the entire Upanishad is supposed to be Om. From the Om only everything has emanated. The Om is the mystic syllable from where Gayatri has come. From Gayatri, Purushasuktam has come. From Purushasuktam, all the Vedas have come. That's how we have seen. So while we have seen that, because how the greatness of the Om has been expounded in this, when they said Hari Hi Om Iti Etat Aksharam Idam Sarvam. Everything we said, it is Om. Tasya Upavyakyanam Bhutam Bhavat Bhavishyatiti. Encompasses our past, present and future, not only of us, the entire universe. Even anything which is newly found in this universe is already encompassed in Om. For instance, 2 days before you must have seen the news that Stephen Hawking, whom we talked about even the last session also, he has propounded a theory in 1971. It is about the dark holes. So that when the dark holes are, when he has whatever has been given, that theory has been proven only a couple of weeks before by MIT. When the two dark holes, when they are there, they don't get into and shrink, but they expand. This is what he propounded, which is against the concept of people who are trying to study the physics, but it has been proven now. Likewise, lot of things are coming up, the hypotheses are being proven, but the Om encompasses every possible hypothesis that has been propounded, that is going to come in future, everything and all. Because this is the concept we have taken in, by virtue of it, we could reach the heights of thought which others were still thinking were available in our Upanishad. If you see Upanishad, it has been the source for various religious concepts, including Bible as well as Islam, everything else. If you see the basic concept, we will see somehow, because during the course of the Upanishad, how some of the concepts have been taken and propounded there. Because we can call these concepts in Upanishad and Vedas were the mother concepts, from where so many other concepts are. It's good for the entire good of the world that has happened. So that is the greatness of this Om which we have seen. And then we also said, this is beyond all the Trikalam. Anyateta Trikalam, because it transcends all the kalam. Bhutam Bhavishyati Sarvam Omkara Eva Yacha Anya Trikala Ditam Tatepu Omkara Eva. Because it is beyond the time, space, as well as, the whatever the creation and destruction of the universe which goes on again and again and on. Otam Jagat Asmititi, because everything is occupied by, every being is being occupied by Om, sentient, insentient, every space is occupied by Om. This is what we saw in Isavasya Upanishad. Ishavashyam idahum sarvam yakkincha jagatyam jagat. There is not even a dot, there is not even a spot not occupied by the primordial power. So it is, he is Aksharam, he is beyond that, because nothing is beyond him. He is, you can call him as a Sarva Guna Paripurna. If you want to call him consciousness, he could be Nirguna, but he is the consciousness who was pervading the entire world. And since he is taking the entire past, present and future, there is nothing, much to, you cannot do anything without the Omkara. That is why, in fact, in Krishna also, if you see the chapter 7 in Bhagavad Gita is a very, very important chapter. Not from any other point of view, but it is from the point of view, it is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga. It gives the proper knowledge about the philosophy, life and everything. If you have any doubt in any of the Upanishad, any of the scripture, go to Bhagavad Gita. That concept has been explained it is a compendium of all the concepts that has been encompassed in all the scriptures. That is why Bhagavad Gita, you can get the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, that is good enough. But the knowing Upanishad will expand your knowledge further, because the basic concepts of Upanishad are expounded in a minuscule, scriptural, in a very smart tablet form it is there. So that is how Bhagavad Gita is great. If you have any doubt, it is the one that will clarify. It is a compendium of all the concepts of Upanishads, Smritis and Shrutis. In that, he says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, because the taste in water, the sap of the water does have a taste, but we can't describe that taste. He says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, prabhasmi sashi suryayohu. Whatever, because either Chandra or Surya, whatever light that is there, I am the light in that. Pranava sarva vedeshu, I am the Om. So when he declares I am the Om, he is the declare. If you want to know him, you have to know Om. Om is a symbol by which you will be able to know him. It is the mystic syllable that has been declared in the chapter 7, sloka number 8 of the Bhagavad Gita. See, that is no Sabdyakai Paurusham Rishu. Every vibration in the world, whatever it is there, I am the vibration. And I am the skill in every human being. That is how it is going to be important. Every skill, every excellence, what we are trying to achieve, it is the manifestation of the divine power. It is the manifestation of the divine grace. When you are able to do something more perfectly, even in your personal life or professional life or any other walk of life, even if you get some satisfaction by reading something, or writing a poetry, or writing something, or teaching some people, or going and doing service to the humanity somewhere, when you get all the satisfaction, it is nothing but whatever the manifestation of the divine power and grace. This is exactly has been brought. How we have to realize that? Because as we go about in every day, we get up in the morning, we come to this world, we deal with this world, we do everything, good, bad, ugly, everything and all, whatever our mind commands. Because we are not in our control of ourselves. We don't have any free will that we don't accept. We think we have a free will, but we don't have a free will. Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha. We saw in Kena Upanishad, whatever if you have to do right, if you are capable, you will be doing it, but you are not able to do it because your mind takes you wherever you are supposed to be taking based on your vasanas. Your vasanas you have brought from the previous birth. But in this birth, you got every reason to perfect the vasanas, correct it, and take the course correction and go about it. That is the purpose for which we have to get into the Upanishad and scriptures that enables you to correct your course as well as to go about it and get the better thing. For instance, assuming we have got the reincarnation theory. So we have got several births. That's why last week I was sharing a small anecdote in which the joke in US, when a Christian says I am a born again Christian, a Hindu says I am born again and again and again a Hindu. Because we have got so many incarnations, we don't know how many births we are going to do. But you are not sure whether you are going to be a human being in the next birth. Your present actions based on your previous vasanas are going to determine what type of a birth, what type of a being you are going to be in the next birth, if you are going to have a net birth. The idea is we should not have any birth. Furthermore, we should get ourselves realized and all. That is a part. Even if you have a birth, you will continuously be going about one of the. But what is the type of birth you are going to do? That is where we found how Shankaracharya in Viveka Chudamani said, Turlabam Manushya Janmana. To get that Manushya Janma, to get this birth, we have done but we have taken so many births earlier. We have evolved. Finally, we have come to this birth. Should we waste this birth? That is the question. The choice is ours. That is what we want to take the choice. Now, having come to this birth, the Durlabham Manushya Janmana, how to evolve further and get into the glory of this further birth. So, each of us can flourish to our own potential which has been given by the bond and to the fruition what we are supposed to do. Nichocha Bhavam Gataha. This is one of the concepts that has been propounded by Tattvavada by Sri Madhvacharya. Each one of us have to grow to the Vikasa, to the highest potential of every one of us. Because we may not be same. Some of us, and I may be an almond tree, you may be a palm tree, someone may be a tamarind tree, whatever it is that. Each one of us have to flower and flourish to our full potential. That is the purpose of this. What is the purpose of this life? Yes, you should do everything. Well, when you are doing, you will have to deal with the world. You will not be dissociating yourself with the world. Every day, morning to evening, you will have to deal with the world. Once you get up in the morning, you are coming to the waking state. So once you wake up the state, your eyes see the world. You know what to react and what to do. And that is why the first mantra when you said, Jagrastano Bahipragyaha Saptangaha Ekona Vimshati Mukaha Stulabuk Vaishwanaraha Pradamapada. When you come into the waking world, what the Upanishad says is, you have got about 19 phases. Just to recap the 19 phases of 5, you are all Jnanendriyas, you are all, where you are able to see, the Buddhi, Manas, as well as your walk, as well as your hearing, you are seeing everything together. And your Karmendriyas, your hands, legs, excretia and regeneration. 5 Karmendriyas, 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Pranendriyas, Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, Samana, all the 5. 15. Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, Manaha, all the 4 together. This 4 makes 19 phases. 19. Ekona Vimshati Mukaha. Vimshati is 20, Ekona Vimshati. Reduced by 1. That is 19. The 19 phases. The 19 are the organs which is enabling you to deal with this world and get the knowledge. Your Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, Pranendriyas, and your Chitta, Buddhi, Ahankara, as well as Manas. That is one creates. But when it is being taken, and that is what it's getting, Saptangaha, because we said there is a cosmic aspect as well as a self aspect. The cosmic aspect is, we at the individual level, we are doing everything ourselves. When the primordial power, he has to take care of the whole world. If he is a networked being who is connected to everyone's mind, he is having everyone's mind, everyone's thought, everyone's action. For him, he is in Saptangaha. Saptangaha is, his head is heaven, his mouth is Agni, his eyes are sun, his manas is Chandra, and his bosom is ocean, and his midriff is Antariksha, and his pada is Bhumi. See, as it comes in the Purusha Suktam, he is consisting of Saptangaha. He is representing the whole world in cosmic form. He is having all the entire 7 billion people mind, all the insentient being minds, every being in this world, their mind, sentient, insentient, everything together. He knows. You may be thinking you only know, but he knows it much better than you. He is the one who is enabling you to see what you are supposed to see based on your vasanas, based on your karma phala. He is giving you those sights. Say, everyone, we are not able to go to Harvard. Only a few people are going to Harvard because he determines, because your vasanas are that, your phala is that, and your effort is that. It is not alone, vasana alone is not sufficient. You will have to have 2 things, 3 things. Once you have ichcha, and once you have done the ichcha, once you have a desire, and you should also know the know-how. So you have to study, you have to do the prayatna for that, and you know how to do it. That is also there. You should have the know-how and you should do the effort. All the 3 together takes you where you are supposed to go. So in the Jagratasthana, when you do everything, once you concentrate on that, what happens is you are concentrating on what you are doing, not on my, I and all. I am doing and all. Once you think, look, I have done, in the sense, it takes away the excellence in your effort. It takes away the ability to take further efforts. Because once I and my comes, it puts a stop. It is not allowing you to go forward. The entire effort of the Upanishad is to take away the I and my. So when they say you should have the awareness of God, it is not that you have to pray to the God every time you are doing something and all. Once you concentrate on the present thing, what you are doing, to your fullest ability to do, that is where the manifestation of the God takes place. This is exactly the Krishna said. I am that skill. And that skill comes once you are able to do. In the Sthula book Vaishvanaraha, in the grass body, you are dealing with everything grass in this world. Vaishvanaraha is the one, he does imperishable. Naraha is imperishable. He is the one, he getting that experience to you. He is putting the objects in front of you as per your requirement. And he is also getting the knowledge to you. And he is giving by your ability to get the knowledge, he also gets the happiness. He also gets because he is giving you to that. And his job is only to give what you require and what you desire and what you deserve. All the things he does it. Vaishvanaraha Pratama Padaha. From there, he is taking us to the next stage. Swapnasthano Antapragyaha. It is internal impressions. Antapragyaha Saktangaha Ekonavimshati. There also your 19 phases are there. Pravivikta book. There when you are getting into the dream, just about you are able to sleep, about to get into sleep, you are totally out of your contact with this entire wheel. Pravivikta book. All the grass body and the grass desires and the gross relations goes off. Then you go into the subtle, the impression, latent impressions of the mind. What you have seen, what you experienced earlier. Maybe what you experienced earlier in the earlier birth also may come to you. Because it is quite possible some of the things which you would not have thought of will come to your mind because there is somewhere in the chitta, your storehouse. You have carried it from the previous birth, it may come to you. Or you might have heard from a great person, who must have talked about a great thing. That must have been hovering around you. You might have been attracted to that concept. So then you will try to find out, what it is, and then you got a desire, internal desire. All those latent impressions come. Sometimes you may fly in your dream. You may fall from the dream. These are all latent impressions, because what you have seen, what you thought would be, and this has got nothing to do with the reality. The Pravivikta book, subtle things which happen. When it happens, it is also being given by him in the form of Tejasa. Tejasa is, he is the one, he brightens up your mind. The latent impressions of your mind are brightened up and brought to you so that, you get it. But dreams are very important. Sometimes, if you are trying to do something, which is not within your ambit, which is not available to you, you want to become something, you want to go and achieve something. But at the moment, you are in a small village without any of the resources and recourses. At that time, you dream. You will, if you tell someone, you will tell, what is that you are talking about? You are in a small village, without any facility. What are you talking about? Are you going to do it? But you may not be able to. But then, because we have seen the life examples of so many people, including like a person like Abdul Kalam, who was in Rameshwaram. If you go to the Rameshwaram, if you see, about 50 years before, even the basic facilities were in primary school, some high school up to 8th standard. Above 8th standard, they will have to come to some place like Ramanathapuram. That is how they have to study. But all of them have come up because they had a dream to achieve. It is all because he has given you. And he has given you based on your latent impressions, desires and all. He has given you the best for you to excel. That's how you come about. So this is what we saw at Dviti Pada. So when you are from the grass reaches subtle body, when you come, you have this. In between also there could be. Because you are not in a dream state, but you are still not in your active waking state. That is why sleepwalking takes place. Sometimes what happens, in your, you feel, you have got a pain, you just, you don't sleep, but you think over, you do something, and finally your pain goes off. Constantly on something, some meditative techniques, you know that you do, it goes off. That is in between the waking and sleep also. This stage is also there. And when the dream sleep and you are going into the deep sleep. When you go into the deep sleep, you forget the whole world. That is what we saw the next mantra, where we gave a few examples, and we said, Yatra shupto na kanchana kamam kamayati na kanchana swapnam pashyati takshushuptam. There is no desire, because you are not a father to your son, you are not a husband to your wife. When you are deep sleep, when you are sloring to your heart's content, you are nobody. You are in the control of, you are with closer to the ultimate power, who is enlivening power with you. You are not aware of that. Nescience, absence of knowledge is there. It is not ignorance, it is absence of knowledge. You don't know that. But you are closer to the primordial power. This is where said, because how, we will explain, with whatever has been explained in particular sloka. And this is not something sloka which is coming once in a while. We are hearing every time whenever we go to the temple. But the man who is reciting in the temple also doesn't bother to explain. Perhaps most of them don't know it. Nor we also take interest in what is that he is talking in what is reciting in the temple when he does the abhisheka to the god. These are all coming in that only. This is not something out of the world it is coming about. It is coming to. So when you are going into that Sushuptasthana, you are totally ignorant of what is happening. You are not to anybody. You don't think of anyone else. You have got such a wonderful sleep. You have got only your prana is going about keeping you alive. And you just have the awareness of you, but not in the sleep. You only get up next morning, I had a good sleep. Till then you don't know. While sleeping, you don't know you had a good sleep. Only you get up, I had a wonderful sleep. And I don't know what has happened. Even some of your close friends have come and slept with you, got the morning flight and got back. You might not be aware if you are still sleeping. You have got such a wonderful sleep. That's what happens. At that point of time, he is keeping you nescience. In the sense, you are almost closer to God. But only thing is, it is temporary. Next morning, you get up again, come back to this world. What happens in the sleep? Both the waking state and the dream state both get merged together. It is a progressive. We said, if waking state is 25% and the dream state is 50% cumulative and deep sleep state is 75%. It is cumulative. All of them merge into homogeneous mass of consciousness. It's all everything together. Everything gets merged. It's a trepid, inactive, and you are having absence of knowledge. That is a wonderful state. When you don't have any knowledge about anything, you don't have a desire. One of the major things why you have a desire is you have got a knowledge. So till such time you don't know a smart TV, you don't desire for that. You are happy with your whatever TV what you have. Someone says there is one more smart TV has come, you can do with this, and the desire comes. Because basically what is, the knowledge about that particular product brings in further desires. Advertisement is nothing but create a desire on things what you don't need, but what you can have. You don't necessarily need, because your TV may be serving the same purpose. A smart TV is not going to show something different, but maybe you may feel it is showing more clarity is there, the sound is good, and you are able to get it so, you are able to watch the Wimbledon and all those things you may think. Maybe it is so, but then it is not exactly what you need. So the entire principle of world, be it any technology or any life, is what you want, what you need, what you look for is not what you need. What you desire is what you don't need. What you need is not available. That is exactly, because you are always craving for something. That creates, mother of the desire, it keeps you craving. Because most of the advertisements are to create a craving in you for that particular thing, even if you don't need. What you need, what you require is not what you need. What you need is not available. That is the full sort of concept of entire life. We are also chasing everywhere. We think we will have to buy a house somewhere. Today the price is high. When it comes down, I will buy like that. You will postpone it. After some period, the price will only go up. You will be chasing the price. You will not be able to buy that. So likewise, the craving comes in. While the craving comes in, the desire comes in. The deep sleep state is so beautiful because you don't have any desire. And when you don't have any desire, you have got nothing to look for. And you don't see any dream. Sushuptasthana eki bhutaha. Everything gets merged. All Tejasa, Vishwanara, everything gets merged. So when you are in almost closer to the divine, presence with a little veil in you. The absence of knowledge is there. Pragyana Ganaha. Pragyana Ganaha, the Gana Pragyana is the right combination, but Pragyana Ganaha is the one which has been used in this Upanishad. We will subsequently see how the Gana Pragyana is also being explained. This is where, the absence of knowledge. When you don't have a knowledge, you will not desire. When you don't know what is a smart TV, you will not desire. When you don't know about anything, you will not desire for that. That is a wonderful state. When you don't know about, what you have to, you don't have to know. You don't have to know at all. That is a bliss. Ignorance is the bliss. That is the word which has come. Ignorance in pure form is the absence of knowledge. That is the bliss. That word is it. Cheto Anandamayo. When you are there, you don't have any problem. When you have a sleep, night sleep, even you might have seen, I was quoting the example of how under the bridges of Bombay and Delhi, lot of migrant laborers, they don't have a place to stay. They all sleep together. This way, that way, whatever space is available. Even dogs will be sleeping with them. Some cows will also be lying down in Delhi. But when they sleep, all of them are one. There is no difference between a cow, dog or person from Bihar, Tamil Nadu or Uttarakhand. Everything is same. It is a bliss. You don't differentiate between anyone. That is the absolute time when you are closer to the God. You don't differentiate with any being. You don't have any likes, dislike. You don't like, because I don't want to sleep with the Uttarakhandi, not that fellow will also be sleeping, you will be sleeping, you are on deep sleep. That is the wonderful state. You are closer to the God. You don't have likes and dislikes. That all goes off. That's what has been shown. At that time, Anandamayo, you are in a sort of a bliss. Because since you don't know anything and you are in a deep sleep, you are not aware of yourself, but you know about yourself only when you wake up. And you know only you got the absence of knowledge and you have got a deep rest and you are closer to the blissful sleep. Take together. This is the Ananda book. He is the one who gives a Pragyana Ganaha. He is also called Pragya. When we called him Vaishvanara and Tejasa, in the deep sleep state, the same primordial power, if you can call Hari or if you want to call consciousness, whatever is there, he is the one Ananda book. He takes the Ananda. See, Ananda in the sense, he is always, he doesn't have any requirement. He is Ananda, but he is giving you the Ananda. When he is giving you the Ananda, he is taking the Ananda and he is giving you the Ananda. Cheto Mukha. Cheto Mukha, in the sense, it is a doorway from sleep when you are getting back again, from when everything merges together, again the waking state comes and again the dream state comes. Again you go back to sleep. This is what we are doing every day from our birth. Morning to evening we are doing only this. In all these things he is controlling you and he is giving you the bliss so that you can excel yourself. Are you able to take it? This is exactly this Upanishad is taking us further into. Cheto Mukha. Cheto Jnanena Mukha. See, because he is the full of Ananda, he is giving you. Cheto Mukha is, in Sanskrit, Mukha has got the same word which represents mouth as well as the face. The Mukha also has got a representation. When an important person comes, we say he is a Pramukha. He is a Pramukha. He is a person, important person. He is the most important person who is guiding our daily life from waking, dream and deep sleep. All the three he is coming by. And he is always Ananda. He doesn't have any desire or requirement and all. We have a desire when you are in waking state. And we don't have any desire but latent impressions of the mind. The desires which have been encrypted in our brain comes as the latent impression. That is what. In this context only we quoted 3 examples to bring home the concept. And at that point of time we took the example of one famous surgeon who has been he has been very successful surgeon in most of his surgeries. But when he was brought in front of Swamiji and everyone praised him, he didn't take the prize because because what is that you are talking about? I am a surgeon, I am doing. I got pair of scissors and the other instruments. They are not doing it, I am operating it. But I am being operated by someone else. He gets it done. That is the Vedantic realization he had. And he also said why he is not enamored of all these great words to him. Because he couldn't save his own son in a very simple operation. If he is so successful surgeon, he should have saved his own son. He could not. That means someone is getting it done by him. It is that, once you have that bhava, when someone is getting it done, what we have to do is in everyday life, yes, something in front of us has to be done. We will do it. We will not bother, but we will try to give our best into that. We will get it done by us. Once you focus, once you give full interest, as Krishna says, he will come as a skill and enable you to do that. You don't bother about it. And don't go by, I did 10 years before, now I will do like this, I have got enough experience, I know what it is. Because most of us have this ego. When some new thing comes or a problem comes, no, I have solved it. I think it's not something new, I will go that way. But when you go into that, things are changing. The world is Jagrati. Every day it is changing. It is not the same thing what you have thought about. There could be new impediments which might have come in. The new change in focus, the new change in laws, the new change in way of the things. That will come. But once you put everything together, you will be able to approach with the clarity of the mind, get the excellence. This is exactly it brings. This is what we quoted these particular examples. How to do it and all. We also quoted the example of Ramanujan. How in the deep sleep, in a dream to deep sleep, when he gets those impressions, which is all, because not, he doesn't know anything about it. It is only the goddess of Namakal has brought it, in a red screen and the white letters. He saw that. But next morning, he just had the vision to keep the capture of that, and once he started writing, then he was able to go to pages and pages of deduction and bringing about the world famous theorems. That comes at the stage. That is at the stage, when it is, you are able to get the full benefit of, your own chitta and your own focus. Once you have a focus in all the states, then you will be able to get the best. This is what the Upanishad has told us. And we also said the concept of Vyashti and Samashti. Vyashti is individual level, what we are doing. Samashti as the cosmic level, what the entire, the Virat Swarupa. Because in Vaishvanara, is called Virat Swarupa in Advaita Vedanta. And Tejasa is called Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is a cosmic mind. The latent impressions of the cosmic mind is coming as a dream to the world. For individual, it is coming the latent impressions of his own mind. And then it is coming to Ishvara. When you come to Sushupta Sthana, you are almost closer to God. When you don't have any desire, when you are yourself, you are not identified as yourself as a father, son or brother or anything like that. You are pure yourself. At that point of time, you are closer to the Ishvara. What is differentiates is Ishvara is fully knowledgeable, but you are having the veil of ignorance. In the sense, you don't have any knowledge. That's why you are desireless. So Ishvara doesn't have to be, he doesn't have any desire. He was not like that. That is why it is called Ishvara there. And the cosmic level, it is called the entire concept, in Vedanta Tattvavada when it comes. It is Vivishti iti Vishnu. The Vishnu is the one who is coming as Vaishvanara, Tejasa, as well as Prajna. He comes everywhere, and because he wants to give the importance of everything to every person as they desire. So to the Nichoja Bhavadgata, because everyone has got a speciality in them. I may not be like you, you may not be like me, but you have got a speciality. Your speciality, because after all, if you are a seed of almond, you have got the same quality, your most valuable fruit you are producing. I may be a sort of a guava tree, but I have got my own speciality of certain for each one to flourish and flower into a full-fledged plenitude, he gives that. That is how he takes you to that. When we said the Chetomukha is the Laya center. So when we come to the gross world, to subtle body, and we have come to the deep sleep when everything has merged, the Chetomukha who is present in all the three, he is the doorway. From deep sleep only you get up. And Chetomukha, from there you again get into the waking, dreaming and come back. Then there is another great state called astral state. When you have got all the Annamaya Kosha, when you get Pranamaya Kosha, it is a sort of, in the Pranamaya Kosha, it is a sort of Sukshma Sharira. All your Chetana and Cheta, everything is stored in Shushma Sharira. All your chakras are in Shushma Sharira. So we say we have got 7 chakras in the body. You might have seen all the 7 chakras. If you dissect the body, cadaver, you will not find. You will find only the glands. You will find all the 7 glands will be there. But the 7 gland, the switch is there in the Sushma Sharira. The Sushma Sharira is the one which is controlling the entire the Laya center, the Chetomukha, from the deep sleep, once you are having this excellence built in, once you are coming into with your focus on, when you are having the focus on, be sure you are having the awareness of God. If you don't have the awareness of God, you will not have a full focus. Because once you have the awareness of God, in the sense you don't concentrate on anything. So if you want to do something, even a small thing, you want to help a school children, you want to help an orphanage, you won't do it as a matter of, yes, I am doing it, let me give some 1000 rupees this year and next year I will see, whether I can give more. Not that. I will take every effort to see whatever I am doing, let me do it perfectly. If I have to get them something, let me get it perfectly. You should have the same interest when you are helping an orphanage. Not that someone is doing, you are giving your contribution, my contribution is going to help them anyway and all. That is just leaving it aside. That mine comes, I am giving. Who am I to give? That's what Ishavasya Upanishad, Kasyas Vitanam, the entire world is his, his wealth is his. Whose wealth you are going to give whom? You yourself is enjoying, his wealth. When he said, Ishavashyam idagam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena punjita, whatever he has given you. So you will have to enjoy that and give it back. But that is what, because in the Tamil songs, Iraval Tandavan Ketkindana, the Ilay and Ralavan Viduvana, that is exactly true. So you have been given a time and you are given with that, you don't consider it to be yours. In fact, Dr. Karan Singh, who was supposed to be the king of Jammu and Kashmir, had it not been, had it been a separate country, he was asked in an interview, what is that, you have, don't you feel, that you have been deprived of all the rights to be a king? And because they had a lot of, not only that, they are supposed to be the governing council for so many temples, including Rameshwaram down to all the temples. Traditionally, it was there and all. He was telling Kasyas Vitanam. He quoted Ishavasya Upanishad. Kasyas Vitanam. It is all. He has asked us to be as his agent to be there, and we were there, and that's all we have come. The man has got the humility to say, that I have not lost anything. It is he has given, he has taken it back. So nothing to be done. We have got so many other things to do in this life. That is how he was able to get back, and he is able to still sort of flourish as one of the greatest exponent of Hindu religion and scriptures. So likewise, because we have to take that, if a person has lost his kingdom and he is able to take it's a Kasyas Vidanam, who are we, whatever little piddly thing, what we are going to hold on to what I am having it. It is nothing. So once you have that bhava, it's not that immediately you write it off to someone. You don't have to do anything. As long as you can do with what you are having, whatever to your best of your ability to put the common good, as Sri Madhvacharya has said, Nana Janasya Shushrutaha Karmaha. Karmanyeva Adhikarasto we have seen, but what is karma has been explained by our Jayatirtha, in the Ishavasya Upanishad, Trishna Vichetavat. You can't desist from not doing a karma, because I have done all the upasanas, I will keep quiet, and I have got lands, I am getting, all the rice and other things, I will eat away and keep quiet. Not. You will have to do your karma. There is nothing. You have got a duty. What is karma? Karma is your duty. He is the king. In the kingdom of God, whatever you have to do is, like you are paying GST and income tax, what God expects you to do, your duty towards your others, maybe to your family also. You have to look after your family, as well as look after whoever is in need in front of you. If someone is anguished in front of you, try to help him out. Nana Janasya Shushrutaha Karmaha. That is what finally Vivekananda said, the serving humanity is the biggest upasana anyone can do in this world. You don't have to go and start a big trust and do anything. Whatever is in front of you, whatever is within your small ambit, whatever little you can do, that is great. But without being, I am doing it. Without having a feeling that I am doing it. That is what Upanishad elevates you. Upanishadaha, it is upari, it takes you, it always an escalator, it takes you to the highest level. The choice is for you, how far you want to go. And this is exactly, all of us, the Upanishad takes us to the sort of a foothill. From there, to climb up the hill, it is ours. It gives a direction. It takes us to the foothill and it gives all the means, all the knowledge. But for us, it is the steps we will have to take it. Prayatna. It's not only that. We should know how to climb. We should have all the equipments. If you are going to climb Mount Everest, you should have all the equipments available. You should be trained. You should have the boot and other things. You should have a Sherpa to guide you. You should go to the full, you have to acclimatize yourself, you have to go to the base camp and spend a fortnight there and get your oxygen level. Now we all of us know about the importance of oxygen level in the current scenario. So there, of course, you will have to need necessary oxygen level, you have it, and then prepare yourself and climb it up, because that time you will have to do. The Upanishad takes you, it gives you the direction, it shows the way, it gives you the equips you, and it is each one of us. Just by reading Upanishad, I can't keep quiet. I have got a lot many things to do irrespective of the fact, because whatever I am ordained to do, whatever is in front of me, whatever I have to do is presented before me based on my ability, my karma, and my sort of a deserving, what I have earned in this life and earlier life, then I will have to go about it. This is what it gives. And from this, the Laya center, when you get into the astral state, going into the last state, what we call about Turiya, the greatest state where you have got total bliss. There is no absence of knowledge. Nescience, what they said, in deep sleep there is an absence of knowledge. In that state there is no absence of knowledge. It is full of bliss, pure bliss. And when we also said, the Vaishvanara Dakshinamukhe is just above the Dakshinamukhe, it is Agya Chakra. It is in between our two, just about the head, in the middle, just above the nose, it is there. It is the Agya Chakra. The Agya Chakra is the one which gives you the Upasmarati, memory. When we said Aniruddha form in Keno Upanishad, we must be remembering Aniruddha form, he gives you the memory and everything for you to excel. It is because of this Agya Chakra is active. The Agya Chakra is here, but there is a gland here. Pineal gland is there. Pineal gland is, the gland looks like a pine tree. The pineal gland is there. And this gland is active. With this we will be able to predict. With this we will be able to read someone's mind. With this we will be able to even materialize something like Sai Baba did. But we have lost all those things by yielding ourselves to the other facilitation that has come up. The Shahaja Sakti. I in fact shared one experience of Bananjay Govindacharya's interaction with Satya Sai Baba. When Satya Sai Baba told him, I am not doing any miracle, it is a Shahaja Sakti, it is available to everyone. But I know the switch and you don't know the switch, that's all. Once you know the switch, you will be able to do it. But we have lost this switch. But likewise, the tsunami comes or sort of a storm comes. The animals, especially fox, even the goats, they can determine when the tsunami is there. They will go to a safer place because their pineal gland, because they have got only few glands. They don't have so many glands like us. The pineal glands is so active. They are closer to the earth. They don't have any facilitation. They don't have any mobile or to have a GPS and all. They are very close to the earth. A dog will also go to a safer place in a tsunami. But we need to see the TV and some advice from the meteorological department. Very often it will go wrong. They will give you the advice. Based on that only you will have to go. So we have lost our ability. But when we say, the earlier people used to say they used to hear Akashvani, the vibration and all. This is all activation of this pineal gland. That is the greatness of this gland. And that gland, it's Vaishvanaraha is residing in this gland. That we will also see in one of the slokas, it is explicitly explained. And the Tejasa is supposed to be in the Manas. The Manas is likewise, because in Tejasa, the latent impressions, what is being shown to you is, he is showing the entire thing to you. He is showing, whatever you are seeing, everything and all. He is like a producer of a movie. He is showing you everything and all. You are watching the movie. The producer doesn't go by these, he doesn't cry or he doesn't laugh because he makes money, bankrolls by showing you the movie. But you only get into know because the scenes are very very rash scenes, very terrorist scenes. You undergo all the emotions. Undergo the emotions of all the story that's being shown to you. That manas, since you are, Shastra says, the manas, what you are able to see, what is being shown to you, you are seeing from this Vishuddhi Chakra. This thyroid and parathyroid, that glands is there. It has got a so many functions which is still to be determined. It is not only the controlling thyroid, it is also controlling your nervous system, and it is also strengthening, your entire body circulation system also. So the Tejasa is supposed to be living in this Kanta. So it is in the pineal gland here, it is the Vishuddhi Chakra. So here it is living. And then coming to the Sushuptasthana. This is what we all think. Narayana Shuktam is recited in all the temples. Tirupati, every day, when they are doing the puja as well as when they are doing the abhishekam, they are reciting it. It is nothing but the great truth has been given there. Antar bahicham tatsarvam vyaptam narayano sthitah. Outside and inside. The entire world, Isavashyam idam sarvam. And outside, inside also he is the enlivening power. Narayana sthitah, he is there. And then how he is there? Padmakosham pratikasham hritayashchapyo atomukam. It's like an inverted lotus, red lotus. It is like your thymus gland here in the heart. In the heart, thymus gland, where is he there? Because if you open heart surgery you will not be able to see the gland. You will be able to see the gland, but the switch is there in your Sushma Sarira. In the Pranamaya Kosha it is there. It's not the Annamaya Kosha. So when it is there, where it is there in the Sushmikaya? That also that Narayana Suktam says, Tasyante Shushiram Shutpam Tasmin Sarvam Tato Shushpam Shuram. Like a needle, small point of the needle. There, your enlivening power is there, your Pranadeva is there, all Devata of all Indriyas, they are all in that place, small one. As long as the body is alive, they are all there giving you the entire energy, power. Tasyante Sushiram Sutmam Tasminto Pradipashtate. See, it is there already. From there it comes. And then it goes up, and then from there only, when you are having this Ajnana, when you go into the Turiya also, that enlivening power in this thymus gland, he is the one bringing it. But when you are crossing the Laya center, when the doorway to astral plane, when you are pure bliss, you are getting into a sort of you will not be disturbed by anything. You are in a total pure bliss. In fact, last week I shared a story, just at the end of it. One Swamiji in North Indian Swamiji in Himalayas, he just asked his, he is a very enlightened Swamiji. He knows, he has been there for years together in Himalayas. He is very well known, highly studied. He knows all the Upanishad. He has every knowledge of everything and all, but a very simple man. He used to take like anyone, sit in a charpai, take a chai or kachori, whatever comes and all. So he asked Shishya to bring tea for him. Bhai, chai lao. So the Shishya went and brought the chai. By the time he came, he went into the samadhi. And Shishya said, what is that? Now only he asked us to bring tea and he has gone into samadhi. And for 8 to 9 days, he was in samadhi. He didn't come out at all. So after 8.5 days, when he came out of the samadhi, he shouted at Shishya, where is the chai, bhai? Ab chai bulaya tha, chai kahan? Because he 8.5 days before he asked for tea, he went into the samadhi. He came back, again he asked. The Laya center is like that. Once you get into the pure bliss, when you are again able to, it's like a sliding door, sublime sliding door between the two states. The astral states as well as the waking dream and deep sleep state. So once you get into that, in astral also you have got astral waking state, astral dream state, and you have got the astral deep sleep state. But in all these states, you will be undisturbed. You will be getting into the, because that's why in Mukti also, there is a different stages of Mukti. The bliss also, it grows as you get into each state. When you are going into the astral waking state, you get into the samadhi, you get it. And astral dream state also, you get into the samadhi. In that, nothing is happening. You are beyond. It's a pure bliss anyway. The pure bliss, you can't be differentiated. The pure bliss you will find in gradually increasing as you go into that. Once it is through, when you come back through the Chetomukha, you come back to the deep sleep, and then you come into the waking state and then dream state. This is takes place. Most of us are not able to go into the astral state because we have not taken effort, we have not been trained, we have not been told, we don't know how to go about it, nor we have got into the pursuit of that. The people who are doing, because the meditation, who are doing always, living in the Himalayas with the bare wands, they are all doing it. They are all trained for that. They get into the samadhi, anything. In fact, in one of the exposition of this particular Upanishad, Vinayaka, Lord Ganesha, got his Pranava Tattva only by doing the meditation in the Jagrata Sthana. When he is Swapna Sthana, he did the meditation and he got this Pranava. So if you see Pranava, the symbol always is given is the Vinayaka, the Gajamukha. The Gajamukha is supposed to be the face of the entire Pranava, and the Gajamukha is supposed to be the face of entire waking state, that is Jagradasthana, as well as Shushuptasthana, Swapnasthana. In Shushuptasthana, there cannot be anything because there is everything is merged together. It is like, you are covered by darkness. He gave an example of how when you are landing in a new city, when the city is having a power cut, you are not able to see. But you know that city has, if you are going to land in New York, New York has got a lot of many things to see. But if there is a power cut, you will not be able to see if you are landing in an aircraft. But then, you know that is great. The Sushuptasthana is like that. You know there is something much fantastic. But at the moment, you are not able to see. You don't have any knowledge but absence of knowledge. But once it lights up, once you get into the airport, then you know what is there. Then your waking state comes, you will go on planning, where to go, what to go, how to go about it. This is the 3 states we explained. And how these 3 states explained, how it is going to help us is, finally it is nothing but the 4th state also. The same state it is manifested in all other state, giving you the experience you deserve and desire and you need. That's been given. Whether you are able to get the same experience, get the full benefit of it by focusing yourself, this is what this Upanishad takes us. In this course, we will also be discussing a lot of things, lot of great philosophical, because after this, we have got one more sloka to be followed. And that sloka will tell us what is the greatness of, we will recite the sloka and we will see the meaning of that. After that, next week, we will go into the further great concepts, how it is going to elevate us. You will find, so interesting. In fact, we have not seen such a thing in other Upanishad, because this Upanishad is unique in its way of explanation, because it is giving you the philosophical insights, the total insights, all your philosophical questions, what you are thinking all along. Everything has been answered crystal clear, and all other Upanishad has pointed to the direction of the God. This is the Upanishad which has delineated God in his full-fledged plenitude, without any doubt. So the last mantra we will read now, mantra number 6, and since because of the time constraint, we will take up the explanation of this mantra. Mantra number 6, in all your document it will be there. Yesha sarvesvaraha, yesha sarvajnaha, yesha nantaryami, yesha yonihi sarvasya, yesha yonihi sarvasya, prabhava apyayo hi bhutanam. Simple, it is like that he is a Sarveshvara. Ishvara is, we have seen, Ishvara is everyone. Isha, Mana Isha, is everyone's Manas, he knows what is happening. Everyone's action he knows, he is controlling. That is why Ishvara. Manishi, Kabir Manishi, Paribhu Swayambur, we saw in Ishavasya Upanishad, he is Ishvara. He is Sarveshvara. Power is Sarveshvara. All Ishvaras, he is the Sarveshvara. He is the highest, the pure Brahman, which is called, in this Upanishad, as per the interpretation given by the Manduka Rishi, it is Harivamsa they have taken. He is Adana Kartatva. He is getting everything done by us. So it is Hari. That's what it says. That is the Devata of this Upanishad is Hari. Rishi for this Upanishad is Manduka. Chandas is Trishtup. What we saw that. So Eka Sarveshvara, he is the one who is controlling the entire world. So that is what in Bhajagovindam, when he says also, finally you think of him. The last minute, you should not think of Antakale, Santatam, when you say, because you will have to think of him. So, yes, a Sarveshvara, a Sarvajna. See, he knows everything. Like, deep sleep state, we said, we don't have any knowledge. We have got the absence of knowledge. Ishvara, we said, he is the cosmic level. Sarvajna, he knows everything. But we don't know that. We have got the veil of ignorance at that point. Veil of absence of knowledge. And he gives, so that, Yesha Antaryam. Yesha Yoni. So Yesha Antaryami is in every one of us, and he is every one of other beings also. That is how, in Ishavasya Upanishad said, since he is there in everyone, don't differentiate between everyone. Everyone is equal. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyeva anupashyati sarva bhuteshu atmanam. That is what, eki bhuta. Same atma is, same enlivening power is there, every being. So once it is there, you should not be able to have any fear or anything like that, because you should be able to deal with this world. Everyone is like you. The same enlivening power is there. Be it an American or Vietnamese or is a Scottish or an Australian or an Indian. Everyone has got the same enlivening power in them. That is why we are able to deal with everyone with equal footings, without fear or favor, without like or dislike. Because that's how we said Vasudeva Kudumbakam, when he said we are able to see the whole world like that. We don't have any Anglo-Saxon, animosity towards others and all. We don't have any animosity towards others. We take entire world is one. That concept has come out of this. So this is where, the Upanishad takes you to such a level where we are able to propound these great concepts. These concepts have become further taken into by other religions and other precepts, still yet to be understood its full plenitude. This is where, we are great to be born in this country, to have this Sanatana Dharma, to have this Upanishad. And we are very fortunate to have embarked upon this Mandukya Upanishad, because it takes you to the final gist of all the Upanishads together. Thank you. With this, today I will try to conclude my session, because it is basically a recap, what we have said. I think next week onwards we will proceed further, and when we will be proceeding, we will be talking about the Karika of Gaudapada Karika. Gaudapada is the guru of Shankara's gurus, Shankara Bhagavatpada's guru's guru. Shankara Bhagavatpada's guru is Govinda Bhagavatpada. Govinda Bhagavatpada's guru is Gaudapada. Gaudapada has given a we will see. He has given the great concept, and it's also called Brahmadrishtam. We will say how it is Brahmadrishtam. With this, I will try to conclude today's session, so that we all of us are on a common denominator in understanding the so far what the Upanishad has taken us. And the next week onwards, we will be proceeding forward, so that we will not be coming back to these concepts, but we will be touching in brief once in a while. With this, I will look forward to your clarifications, comments, or any suggestions, or anything you would like to tell. Narayanan, hope you are able to, I think, catch a bit of, because with so many weeks. Yeah, correct. And just we want to bring a recap of the whole thing, for the benefit of it. And say in between, 1 or 2 weeks, we all, someone or other keeps missing. No, this Friday we will continue. Unless anyone have any issues, and I propose to continue with because the great Upanishad, still we have not completed the first kanda. It has got 3 more kandas. Thank you. Shankar, anything else you would like to? Maybe he's lost out or anything. Okay, then I think we will conclude this session if nothing is there for us, and we will be having the session this Friday, that is day after tomorrow. On 16th, we will be having a session at the same time. This I will conclude with the Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahaihi, Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vishvidavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Krishnarpanamastu.